It's an island foodscape takeover. If anybody asks, we call it permaculture. Planting seeds, we secure our family's future. What you give is what you got from the roots on up. What you give is what you got from the roots on up. What you give is what you got from the roots on up. Yeah.
Hi everybody, Erika Kuhr with Hip Ag here, and now we're getting into our desserts episode, and I am so grateful to have Jasmine from Heartbeat Catering join us today to share some of her mana'o and experience of working with local foods and featuring them. So welcome, Jasmine.
Thank you. I'm so grateful to be here. My name is Jasmine. I'm from Heartbeat Catering, and today we'll be explaining how to make a really easy recipe using local cassava root.
Awesome. So one of the best things I think to make desserts with that just always tastes so good is coconut milk, coconut cream, just coconut grated. You know, who loves a macaroon? I do. It's one of my favorite desserts.
All right, so this recipe calls for 1 cup of coconut milk, and we're gonna make it fresh today.
We make coconut milk from mature brown nuts that have fallen on the ground. Let me show you what it looks like. We want to make sure that you can make coconut milk from the mature nut. Oftentimes they're shaking and you can hear the water inside. And these types of young green nuts is just the water. So we don't use that for coconut milk. And so I want to show you guys, we're just going to be, thankfully, Dash is always helping me out, and he just harvested these coconuts, husked them, cracked them open, and used a really nice tool to get the meat out safely. And so we're going to be putting meat in here. And to make it creamier and not watery, we're going to put in some warm water, just barely covering it, because we want it creamier for this delicious dessert. Start it low. So we're going to strain out the coconut from the coconut milk using a nut milk bag. And if you don't have a nut milk bag, you can use cheesecloth. And also, if you don't grind it as fine and it's chunkier, a sieve that you have in your kitchen would also work.
And there you go, fresh coconut milk.
All right, and how much did we need for this recipe?
Only 1 cup.
Okay. This is looking pretty creamy.
It is.
Good smell.
Smells so good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we have the coconut milk made. Now we're just gonna throw everything in the blender. This is why I love it so much, because it's such an easy recipe and it utilizes a lot of local cassava root. So we're gonna take 3 cups of cassava. This is raw, grated cassava. And if you don't grow cassava on your farm, you can buy it at Sweet Cane Cafe. It's sold in this conveniently packed little bag. Sweet Cane Cafe sells it frozen, and you can just take this and use this directly in the recipe.
If you want to try other cassava recipes, Sweet Cane Cafe has all sorts of other recipes they use cassava for, and they're located in Hilo.
Okay, so we just put all the ingredients into the blender and blend it up. So let's start with cassava. 3 cups of raw grated cassava.
Mm-hmm.
Half a cup of coconut sugar. You could also use cane sugar. Any kind of sugar you have at home should work. Mm-hmm. Throw that in. Half a cup of flour. I use rice flour or oat flour. And then we are going to add 3 tablespoons of coconut oil. You can also use macadamia nut oil or simple flavored oil that you have in your kitchen. Should work fine.
Mm-hmm. What about butter?
Oh yeah, you could use butter.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we are also going to add some salt. Let's go with a teaspoon of salt. Okay.
It seems like this recipe you can get, after you try it one time with the recipe, you could just put it together even without a recipe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to go with a teaspoon of baking soda.
It's going to help lift it and rise.
And 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract.
Mm-hmm.
If you wanted to make this recipe with other flavors, you can also integrate things like ginger, cinnamon, other spices. This recipe is so easy. It's pretty foolproof. So go ahead and experiment. It's worth it. Okay, and this recipe needs 1 cup of coconut cream, so I'm just going to measure this out. Okay, and pour it in.
Okay.
And we can blend it up. So once the cassava batter is blended, it looks like a cake batter consistency, almost like a smoothie consistency. But just keep in mind, it's really important to not sample the batter before it's cooked. Cassava, when it's raw, it has a toxin in it that it cooks out once you cook it. So just something important to keep in mind. So just oil up your pan. It really bakes the best in muffin tins. It bakes pretty quickly because it's such small portions. So we're going to just pour the batter right out of your blender right into the muffin tin. You can fill it about 3/4 full or almost all the way full.
Oh, my kids are going to be so excited when I try this and the different flavors because my kids love mochi. And when I told them about this recipe, we're going to be doing this together, they're like, okay, but we want mochi ice cream. I'm like, one step at a time. How about mochi cake with ice cream on top?
All right, so now we have the batter in the muffin tins. We're just going to stick it in the oven for about 30 minutes at 350-degree oven. They look pretty good. A little toasty on the top.
Yeah, nice and brown.
So you can feel the top and kind of see it's a little spongy texture. It bounces back.
Yeah.
So let's pop it out and see.
And I put plenty of oil so that there's like no stick, but this is how you let them cool. Just popping them out like that. And then we'll wait to taste it until it cools down. Huh?
Yeah.
And you just eat them plain, or do you add anything with it?
So, I mean, you can eat it like mochi, just plain. You could make a buttercream and pipe the buttercream on top and eat it like a cupcake.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah, you could do a lot of things. Anything you would do with a cake or with mochi.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, consistency is looking good. It's crunchy and warm on the outside.
So fun. It's so delicious too.
Nice. And really healthy because there was hardly any sugar in here, hardly any oil in here, and a lot of cassava and some coconut cream. That coconut milk was delicious and helped make it.
I'm diving down further, deep, deep down still. I see the weeds, dive to find the roots. Clean up my sacred garden so I can offer sacred fruits, and sacred fruits come through in the form of ancient truth. Sacred fruits come